Hey, Charles here with Rocky Mountain, and today I'm going to be showing you how to bleed and flush the brakes on a side-by-side. Now this is a Polaris RZR Pro XP, but it's going to be similar for just about any side-by-side out there. And the reason you want to be getting this done is if you had your brakes apart for any reason, or if it's been 2 years since you flushed your brakes, you need to make sure you get that flushed out. That's the maximum time you want to go between service intervals. You can do it more often for the best performance. The reason for that is the fluid is hydroscopic, meaning it can absorb moisture. And when that happens, the pedal can feel kind of mushy and you can get brake fade, which is not good. Also, if you continue to ride the machine like that, the fluid can start to gel inside the system and it's gonna lead to more serious repairs down the road. So to prevent all that, stay up on your maintenance. It's really simple to do. There is one more thing I do wanna mention. Right now, there's not a lot of machines that have ABS on them, but if you ever run across one that does, you're gonna wanna check your manual for any special procedures. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. To get this done, we're gonna use a drain pan and funnel, and then you're also gonna need a wrench. So the most common sizes for bleeder nipples are gonna be either 8 or 10 millimeters, and it's gonna be easier if you have an offset box end wrench, but if all you have is a combo wrench, that's gonna get the job done too. Now, we're gonna show you 2 different methods to bleed these brakes. The first method is gonna be the manual bleed. So all you're gonna need is this clear hose, but if you wanna do a quicker and easier method, that's gonna be the vacuum bleed. And the cool thing about that is you can do the job by yourself. You don't have to have someone in the cab pumping the brakes. Now, over here, I've got safety glasses, rubber gloves, and some rags, and some DOT4 brake fluid. Now, this is what almost every machine is gonna call for, but you always want to check your model specific service manual for more information, specs, things like that, and verify that this is the correct fluid for your machine. Now, a side note with this is if you spill it on paint or a painted surface, it can actually damage that paint. So you want to wipe it up right away, and that's what we're going to be using this soapy water for. Now, if you need brake fluid or any of these tools, you can find them on our website by clicking the link in the description below. Over at the machine, we need to locate our master cylinder and reservoir. Most of the time, that's going to be right in front of the driver's seat. So we're at the left front wheel well. We've got the master cylinder and the reservoir. Some machines are going to have a couple of hoses that go up underneath the hood, and you can have 1 or 2 reservoirs underneath there. That's for easy access. And if you have to, one reservoir is going to be for the rear brakes and one's going to be for the front. Once you've located your reservoir, you want to take a look at your minimum and maximum marks. Now, as you go through the bleeding process, you want to keep the reservoir topped off and make sure that the fluid never goes below that minimum mark. Otherwise, if you go too low, you could introduce air into the system, and that's going to defeat all of the work that you're doing. So again, keep this topped off. I recommend placing a rag underneath your reservoir, and that's going to help protect any painted or plastic surfaces from any spilled brake fluid. Now, to start the bleeding process, you want to remove the cap on the reservoir and top it off. And when you're adding brake fluid, make sure you are using a brand new, freshly opened bottle. There is one exception to this. If the fluid in the reservoir is really dark and looks really contaminated and you have a vacuum bleeder, you can suck all of that old fluid out and then top it all off with fresh fluid and make sure it's completely to the top. And that way, when you start pulling the fluid through the system, it's pulling fresh fluid right away, and it's gonna save you a little bit of time. Now, to begin the bleeding process, we're starting at the caliper that is furthest away from the master cylinder. So that's the passenger side rear. And to get that done, I'm gonna start by putting my box end wrench on the bleeder nipple. And I've got my clear hose, put that on the nipple, and we want to route this so it's going up. And that way I can see what color the fluid is coming out, and I can see if there's any air bubbles in there. So now I've got my friend in the cab. He's going to pump up the brakes and hold them. Holding. Gonna open that nipple, close it. Now with the bleeder closed, he can let off the pedal, pump it back up, and then hold pressure again. I'm gonna open the bleeder nipple back up. Again, we're watching for any bubbles and dark fluid. We'll close it, and we're gonna repeat that process until we see no more air bubbles and clean fluid coming out. As you go through this process, it's really important to maintain pressure on that brake pedal anytime the bleeder nipple is open. If you let off, it can allow air to re-enter the system. You don't want to do that. So maintain the pressure, and then once you have the bleeder nipple closed, you can release the pressure on the brake pedal and then repeat the bleeding steps until there's no more air bubbles and fresh fluid coming out. Now, an indicator that you have air still trapped in the line is going to be a mushy feeling brake pedal, and the pedal might even drop all the way down to the floorboard. So if that's going on with you, again, repeat those steps until you have a firm feeling brake pedal. Moving on to the next caliper, this is the next furthest away from our master cylinder. So this is the left rear side of the machine, and then we're going to work closer and closer to that master. So the right front and then the left front is the order for bleeding. And this is going to help ensure we don't have any cross-contamination, and then we get fresh fluid all the way throughout the system. Now with the caliper, you might notice on the bleed nipples that sometimes there's a rubber cap. Just pop that off if that's the case. And then I also want to point out that this offset wrench, this thing's kind of long, and it would be really easy to over torque that bleeder nipple and strip it out. So with these, just for reference, typically you're tightening these less than 5 foot-pounds. So when you tighten it down, just make sure you get that snugged up and don't over tighten it, don't damage the threads. Now for this caliper, we're going to show you the vacuum bleed method. So I'm going to set my wrench on the nipple first. And I've got the bleeder line. Going to put that on the nipple. And I'm going to apply some vacuum, and I usually keep it anywhere between 10 and 15. Doesn't really matter, but you want to open that nipple about 90 degrees. And you can just keep pumping, and you look at the fluid in that canister, and once it starts to clear up, that's when you can quit going. And throughout the process, again, you want to make sure that you keep your reservoir topped off. So if you're doing it by yourself, you might have to stop after a few pumps and get this closed back up. Go top off the reservoir. So we're finished up with this caliper. Now we can do these same steps on the rest. After that, top off the brake fluid one more time. Now for the cap, make sure that it's clean. If it's dirty, wipe it off. You can see our bladder is fully extended. So I'm actually gonna push that back into place. So that's taken shape, and now we can reinstall the cap. And from here, if you spilled any brake fluid, make sure you get it wiped up. Again, we've got that soapy water to help with that. So that's it for bleeding and flushing the brake fluid on your side-by-side. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments. And if you need any brake fluid or maybe the vacuum bleeder that we used, you can find that stuff on our website by clicking the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75, so take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain UTV MC. Thanks for watching.